Hey guys, today's lesson is going to be about limiting and excess reagents. It is a fairly long lesson, so this PowerPoint is actually probably going to be given to you as like two different video lessons instead of one like massive one. So just so you guys know, you can expect that coming. Really all this is going to be about is a lot of mole ratio, a lot of moles equals mass over molar mass, and as long as you can do that, it's just a lot of steps, but of just those simple kind of calculations, okay? So like I said, this is about limiting and excess reagents. In today's lesson, we're going to be going over what limiting and excess reagents are, how to identify your limiting and excess reagents, and then using the limiting reagent to figure out how much of a product is being produced. And then we'll kind of stop there for today. In tomorrow's lesson, we're going to talk about how to figure out how much of the excess reagent is actually used and how much is left over. We'll also calculate how much of an excess reagent you should reasonably use if you want to make sure that the other reactant is completely used up or the product is completely produced, so it goes to completion. So a reagent is just any substance used in a chemical reaction. A lot of the time, the term reagent and reactant are used interchangeably. The only difference is that reactants are always used up and reagents aren't always used up. The limiting reagent or the limiting reactant is the substance that will be completely used up. It will also limit how much of the product can be made, which is why it's called the limiting reagent. And then the excess reagent will be used in the chemical reaction, but there will be some of it left over. Essentially what will happen is that the limiting reagent will run out first. That means the reaction can't keep going, and I will still have some of the excess reagent left. So if we look at this example down here, for instance, we've got hydrogen gas reacting with oxygen gas to make water. But in the reaction, there is still some oxygen left. After I have used up all of the hydrogen molecules, I don't have any more hydrogen to make a water molecule with, but I still have some oxygen left. So the leftover oxygen means that oxygen is the excess reagent. The fact that I used up all of my limiting reagent, and it was what I ran out of first, makes the hydrogen the limiting reagent. And you can kind of see that for all of these examples. This one up here, I ran out of the oxygen first, which makes the oxygen the limiting reagent. Still had some of the hydrogen left over, so that must have been my excess reagent. So anytime you react compounds together in a chemical reaction, you're probably going to have one that runs out first. So there's usually going to be an excess and a limiting reagent. We calculate that based on the mole ratio. Also, anytime you're asked how much of a product is being produced, you must calculate the amount of product made based on the limiting reagent. If you calculate it based on the excess reagent, you will calculate more product is going to be made than what you can actually make, because the limiting reagent will run out before you can keep making more product with the excess reagent. So these are your steps for determining which reagent is limiting. You will write and balance a chemical equation. You will find the moles of both reactants using moles equals mass over molar mass. You will then use the mole ratio to figure out the moles of one of the reactants that you would need to use up all of the moles of the other reactant. And then you just compare the actual moles you have to the amount you would need and see if you have more than you need, then it's in excess. If you have less than you need, then it's limiting. That'll make more sense once we actually go through this example together. So that's what we're going to do right now, is go through this example.